Fantastic. All right, chapter 10, brand new chapter for us. The stuff we're going to do today is solving for the mean, median, and the mode. Yeah, I was going to say, so just by a show of hands, who remembers hearing those words, mean, median, and mode? Okay. Again, don't have to look around. On a scale of like 1 to 5, how did you feel doing that before? Like 1, I still have no idea what's happening. 5 was like, I was pretty darn good at it. Where are you guys at? Okay. So it seems like somewhat confidence. That's awesome. Okay. I'll let you guys write down your kind of the first part of notes. Again, we're going to use the mean, median, mode to measure, or as measures of center, meaning we're going to try to find where the kind of middle of stuff is. And then we're going to choose appropriate measures of center and recognize those statistics. And here's your 4 definitions for the day. Here's a definition for statistics, the definition for mean, the definition for median, the definition for mode. I give you about 2 minutes to write those down, and I will start to talk about those. I'll get some window cleaner and make those happen. All right. Give you guys 2 minutes. I'm going to start talking about it. If you're still writing them, that's fine. So statistics, that's really what this chapter is going to be about. Okay, meaning we're going to have a bunch of data points, a bunch of numbers that we're going to be able to interpret. Okay, interpret what they mean. We're going to be able to find some information based upon that. So statistics is the study of collecting, organizing, and interpreting information or data by using the measures of center. And we'll kind of understand what that is in a second. The next one, the mean. The mean is going to be all of the numbers added together, so the sum, which means all of them added together, of the data divided by the number of items in the data set. So we're going to add everything together, and we're going to divide by the total amount of numbers we get to choose from. You guys have heard this word or this definition before with a different word. Anybody ever, or do you guys know what that extra word is? Another name for mean. It is the average. Fantastic. So the way that I usually remember this definition is I think that it's mean, that they give us 2 names for the exact same thing. So The mean and the average are the exact same thing. Okay, so I'm going to write that one in there because you guys have probably heard that part before. So the mean and the average. All right, the median. The median is the middle number of data ordered from the least to the greatest, or if we have even amounts of numbers, it's going to be the middle two and then the average of those. So added together and then divided by 2. And then the last one is going to be the mode, numbers that occur most often. So I'm going to kind of just give you another way to remember this median one. Who here has got their learner's permit at least? Okay, so some of you guys have. When you are driving down, let's say, a busier road, like it's gonna be like 2 lanes this way, 2 lanes that way. You know that giant patch of stuff in the middle? You know what that thing's called? That thing's called the median. Okay? So the thing that's in the middle of the road between this side and this side, that's the median. If you're going down the interstate, that giant patch of grass that's protecting you from other vehicles traveling at 70 miles an hour, that's a median. Okay? So it is the middle of the road, so you can kind of remember that one. But this median is going to be the middle of the numbers. Okay, the last one, the mode, is the stuff that happens most often. So before I get to this, we are going to have a nice little classroom statistical problem. We're going to get some of our own numbers right here. Okay? Let's start off. We're going to use all the people in here. We're going to ask how many siblings you have. Okay? So if you're an only child, your answer is going to be 0. If you have one brother or sister, you can just have to say 1. 2 brothers and sisters, you'll say 2. 3 brothers and sisters, 3, so on and so forth. Notes for you, animals don't count as siblings. Okay? I know it's not fair. You feel like that dog is part of your family. But for this, we're not going to count it. And if you have like half siblings, like parents got remarried, that sort of stuff, I want to count those as well, okay? So, Austin, how many siblings do you have?
1 each. It's like 1 brother and 1 sister.
So 2. You have 2 total. All right, so I've got 2. You know what you got? 3?
3.
3. 1. 2. Do you have any brothers and sisters?
Only child.
So 0.
1. 6.
Okay. Okay. So we've got a lot of information here. All right? We've got a lot of information here. For us to figure out how all this stuff is going to go together, and again, I gave a giant sample size, just that way I can kind of show all of this stuff together. Looking at all this, if I wanted to figure out all the numbers in here to figure out where the middle is at, I need to put these in least to greatest. Is this an easy way for me to figure out what is the least and what's the greatest? In this current form right here? No. What? So the thing that we would probably do instead of having every single one of these written up here is we're going to go through and I'm going to rewrite every single one of these numbers. Okay? And this is one of those things that when we're doing the problem, you'll have less to choose from for this. But we're going to go through and we're just going to kind of put it from least to greatest so that way we can start to deal with these things. But least to greatest is going to be the very first thing. So the smallest number we have out of all these ones, which is my smallest number? 0. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite it in that order. And as I do, I'm going to mark it out. So that way I don't accidentally write it twice. That is going to be the thing that about 75% of the time when people make mistakes, it's because they forgot to cross down. Okay, so we got that one done. I've got 1. I've got another 1. I've got another 1. Okay, so I've got 3 1s. 1, 2. So all my 1s are done. So far, so good. Now I'm going to look at my 2s. I've got 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 2s. that 1, 2, 3. All my 2s are done. Now I'm going to start looking at my 3s. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. 1. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my last number is going to be a 6. Here's the thing that I want you just to, it's a quick little check when we start going through these ones, is I want to make sure I did it right. So in here, because I have all my data pieces, that's you guys, you're my data pieces. I can count how many people I have in here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Got 13 people in here. Also, when I'm dealing with my numbers, I'm going to count to make sure that's how many numbers I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's what I had. So once I rewrote it, double check, just count these ones again to make sure that you have the same amount that you started with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Same numbers? Perfect. So this row right here is going to be the pieces of information that I'm going to start working with. Okay? So I'm going to start a little bit backwards. I'm going to do my mean at the very end, just because there's some math that goes into it. So I'm going to start off with my median. My median is the middle number. When you are going to write these ones down, you will start on the outside edges and start working your way in. And I'm going to be in the way for you, but I'm going to start with my fingers on the 0 and the 6. Then we go in 1, in 1, in 1, in 1, in 1. That's my middle number right there. That's not a pen I can write with. Where's that? And there's that, and that, and that. This one. That's my median. Okay? I can double check this and I can count on this side. I've got 6 numbers on this side. I've got 6 numbers on this side. That means that this one is right in the middle of my data. Okay, so as I'm looking at all these, I'm going to write them up here. I've got my mean, median, and my mode. So my median for this one is going to be a 2. That's my middle number. Okay, the mode. The mode is what is happening the most. So out of all these numbers, which number is occurring most often? The 3, yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 3s. I only have 3 2s, I've only got 3 1s. So my mode is going to be the number 3. That's the number that's happening the most often. All right, here is where we're going to give a little bit of extra math going on here. This is the part where you're going to have to do a little bit of arithmetic. To find the mean, you guys already told me, we've got 13 people in this class. I'm going to add up every single one of these numbers and figure out what the average is, or what the mean amount is. So when I have it, you can get your calculator out if you want, but it's going to be 0 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 6. I should have a grand total of 13 people if I were to count them all. Also, if you don't want to write all this stuff in your calculator, you can kind of group them together. Did anybody else put it on the calculator? What number did you get?
30.
I got 31. I'm going to double check it. Did you get something different?
I got 30.
So 1, 2. Yep, you guys are right. I accidentally put in an extra 1. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I'm good. Now I got 30 as well. See? That's why I double checking. And I'm all about you guys double checking these ones as we're working through these bigger problems. I will not have one that's nearly this big on anything you work with. Okay, so I've got, out of them all up, I got 30. I'm going to divide that by 13. So 30 divided by 13, that tells me my mean, and I'm going to write this, is going to be 2.30769. It's going to keep on going forever. When we look at these means, I'm going to want you to go to the nearest tenth. Okay? So the nearest mean, or the mean for this class, or an average, each person in here has 2.3 siblings. Meaning if I were to ask any one of you, I should be pretty close to saying that you guys all have about 2 siblings each. Okay, there are some people who are going to be on the outside of this list, who are either going to have more or a lot less. But on average, you guys will have 2.3 siblings. Okay? These pieces of statistics, these pieces of data, are what we're going to use in the world a lot. Okay? We say that with mid-quarter. On your, whatchamacallit, report card, that's what we're looking for. You guys seen those numbers that come after? Like they'll say what your GPA is. What does that stand for? Grade point average. So we're finding the mean of all the letter grades you have. Okay? There usually shows like a class ranking. It's going to take all the people in the class and they're going to say where you're at on that ranking. We just got done with Iowa assessments. They're going to take every single test that every single freshman took, every sophomore took, every junior took, and they're going to average those things out to figure out those scores. When you hear us reading on announcements about the ACT testing, those ones are doing all the stuff with these statistics as well. Statistics are all around us, okay? It's my goal to have you guys understand what these statistics actually mean, okay? Okay.
If you play sports, it's tennis, how many serves you get in, baseball, how many hits you have for a bat, softball, same thing. So it's around you.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly. I'm even gonna stick. Who are my sport people? Okay, what sport? Football. Okay, so I'm gonna start with football. Offense, defense. All right. So if your average is 2 tackles per game, what would you? So you haven't played this game yet. How many tackles do you expect to get next game? 2. Yeah, because you're just taking that average. You're figuring out that every single game I have, I've got 2 tackles so far. I should expect to get 2 more. What sport do you got? Wrestling. I'm not good with wrestling analogies. I'm sorry. Those ones are goofy ones. If you have a track person and they average that they run the 100-yard dash in 13 seconds, that means that if you were going to race against them, you should have a pretty good idea of about what they should run it in.
Wrestling, you can use like takedowns.
Oh, yeah. Way to go, you. I'm terrible at that stuff. I can usually do pretty good analogies. Wrestling's one of those that because it's like a one person into each of them, it's tricky. Okay. So we're going to do the same thing with all of these data. Again, the 13 is going to be the huge pieces that we had before. I'm going to leave this on the board just to show you all the stuff that's going on. So it says the snakes of the zoo are all these different lengths long. I want to find the mean, the median, and the mode of the data. So the very first thing, I'm going to write it up here, first step. Because it isn't in the directions that I gave before. What's the very first thing we need to do? It's the same thing we did over here. Before we even get to the mode. Rewrite it from smallest to biggest. Okay? So I'm going to order it from smallest to biggest. So I've got 62, 48, 37, 45, 50, 65, 48, 54, 48, 52, 40, and 51. Lots of information. So I'm going to rewrite it so that way it's normal numbers that are in order so I can try to track them down a little bit easier. So out of all those numbers that are up there, what's my smallest number? 37. First number is 37. And I'm not gonna say I'm glad that you did it that way, but I want to say that I'm happy you made that mention. So you said 40. I'm still gonna put 37. When you start to put your data down, leave a little bit of a gap on the left. Leave a little bit of a gap between numbers. That way, if you catch a number that you missed out on, because we're gonna cross stuff out, you can try to sneak it back in there. So I had 37, then you said 40. Okay. What else we got? 45. Okay. Got a 45. And then 48. And then another 48. And again, that's why I'm crossing these ones out as I go. Because, yeah, I did 48, but I wanted to make sure I crossed off that one specific 48 so that way I can write it down again. So I got 48, and then another 48. Whew. And then 51 was over here. And then and then 62. And then no, and then. All right, we got them all in order. Again, big list. I got 37, 40, 45, 48, 48, 48, 50, 51, 52, 54, 56, 62, 65. I did every single one of those numbers in order with your help, which I appreciate. So I've got the mean that I'm going to try to find, the median, and then the mode. We'll start from the end this time. We'll kind of work our way up to it. So the mode. Mode's the thing that happens the most often, right? Which one of these numbers happens the most often, Austin? 48. There's 3 of them. I agree. So my mode is going to be 48 because that happens. You don't have to write this, but I'm going to write this over here because it was written down 3 times. Nothing else is written down twice at all. But that was written down 3 times. Okay, I'm going to grab a different color pen just so I don't confuse you here. I'm going to work through and I'm going to try to find the median. What is the median? The middle number. Okay, I'm going to stand in front of you. So I can start counting this way. These ones, and then these ones, and then these ones, over there, and then these ones. Oh, I've got 2 in the middle. These 2 right here are my middle. Do you remember what they said if we have 2 of them in the middle? Yeah, we're going to add both those together and we're going to divide it by 2. If this was 48, this was 50, but I need to find out exactly kind of what the middle number is. So I'm going to add, I'm going to write it over here. I have 48 plus 50 because those are both my middle, and I'm going to divide it by 2. So my median is going to be 49. Okay, if you like counting down from the outsides, that's definitely one way to do it. Anybody else have thoughts on how you could find the middle of those numbers a different way? How could you figure out where the middle's at? Besides just counting down from the outsides. Any guesses? But you're right. Like once you figure out the middle, you saw that it's going to be these ones. So I'm going to give you a chance. Talk to the people around you. See if you can come up with maybe another strategy on how to get to the middle. I haven't talked about it yet, so there's no right answer, wrong answer. I'm going to give you 1 minute, exactly 1 minute. Talk to people around you. Try to come up with a strategy on how to get to the middle. I had no idea over there, so I like it. You guys come with an idea? Nothing at all. All right, so I had two people that I heard them talking, and I liked what they were saying. What did you guys say?
Divide the number of numbers with the line by 2.
So you're gonna figure out how many total numbers there were, and then divide it by 2. And that should tell you about where the middle's at. What'd you guys say? Basically the same thing. I like it. Okay, so we are gonna take the total amount of numbers they had. So I'm gonna count them. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's 12 total numbers. I'm going to write that number down because that's a fancy thing that we're going to need to know in a couple seconds. So there's 12 total numbers. And then you said you're going to divide it by 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6, meaning that there should be 6 on each half. So instead of trying to count from the outside, I can count from this side. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know that this part and this part will be right in the middle. Okay? If it's 6.5, or if it's 0.5, it'll be the one that's right in between it. But if it's an even number, you're right. It's going to be right in between those two separate numbers. Perfect. Again, you can go from the outsides in, or you can add up, or if you figure out how many total numbers there are and divide it by 2, and you'll get a whole lot closer. All right, so the mean. Mean. What do we have to do to figure out the mean on this one? Remember, this is a mean old word that has 2 different definitions.
Add all the numbers in the line together.
Perfect. Add them all together, and then we'll divide by 12. Okay, I'm going to try to do a better job this time, but I hope somebody else will write theirs down so we can verify that our numbers are correct. I'm going to add 37 plus 40 plus 45 plus 48 plus 48 plus 48 plus 50 plus 51 plus 52 plus 54 plus 62. Did you found the average already? I'm just looking for I think you're right. But I'm just looking for the big number first. 600 is what they all add back to. Yep, and I'm gonna have you go give me the last answer. I added everything up to 600 as well. So when you add everything together, I'm gonna get all of those added together is gonna be 600 divided by 12. And then Mary already did that. Mary, what'd you get for your median? You're right. 50. She took the sum of all of those numbers, and added them all up, and then divided by the total amount of numbers. And we got 50. Meaning, if you were to grab a snake, and that seems like a thing that people would not be thinking about, but maybe they'll do that. They go to the snake and they grab them, or they go to the zoo and they grab a snake. Oh, see a snake. And they're going to measure it. Also not a great decision. On average, each snake should be about 50 centimeters long, meaning a snake that big. Okay, if you guys are inside the enclosure, let me know. I will be far away. But that's where all that data comes from. How you guys feeling on that?
Snakes or?
We'll say numbers. Numbers are safer. However, some people are more scared of numbers than they are of snakes. You guys good for right now? All right, I'm going to have you guys do this one. all on your own. And then as soon as that's done, I'm gonna let you guys get up, move around, get a drink, something like that. I do want you guys to come up with a solution for this one. In 2 minutes time, I will start to rewrite the numbers in order so that way you can double check it. But you'll have about 4 minutes to get this done. of your median. All right, 5 minutes is up. Give me the full 5. All right. Hopefully, either you put them in order or you notice that they were all in order there. No matter what, I wanted you to write them down on that paper so that way you can see. The nice part was they did have them kind of in the order. The smallest ones are down here, the biggest ones are up there. So we'll start from the very bottom just because it kind of works through. The mode. Which is the number that happened the most often? Did they have one? Nothing. So they didn't have a mode. Okay? So hopefully you saw there was no mode at all. The median. Okay? Anybody would get the median? What'd you get? 427? Okay, so hopefully you saw there was 10 total numbers, meaning that the median should have been right here in between these two. In between the 5th and the 6th numbers. So you added those together. You should have had 854 divided by 2. And then once you got done with that, you should have had 427. So your median should have been 427. That's the middle of all the numbers that you had to work with. And then the mean. Somebody knew. Anybody have a number that you had for the mean? Mary, what'd you get? 432.1. Did anybody else have 432.1? Anybody have something different? Hopefully you added them all up together. You should have gotten 321 divided by 10 total numbers, and then divided it by 10. Mary got it, I got it. There's a couple of people that rose their hands that were very confident. I loved it. The mean, the average number inside this data set should have been 432.1. How do you feel? Okay, I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Stand up, stretch out, move around.
Put that thing, or skin. So that was only game.
Right?
That's too much.
You know, like game going in that.
That's about it. You guys are good? Ready to hop back in? All right, here we go. This will be the last problem that we work together, and then I'm going to let you guys do homework stuff. Okay, here is kind of the culminating part. Okay, there are times when they're going to give us information for two separate things, and we're going to need to compare those two separate pieces of data. Okay, so for this one, they're showing us two football teams for the first 8 games of the season. I know it's not fantastic when we're always using sports terms. However, most times show players scores, they keep fitting, so you don't really get to see the scores they had. we're going to go through here. We're going to use this sports analogy just because they like to use numbers. Okay? So it says we've got 2 separate teams for the first 8 games of the season. We're going to compare the mean scores and the median scores. Okay, so we're not worried about the things that happen the most often. We're going to compare the mean, like the average score, and then the median score. So what's about the middle score that they will have every single time? So when we do this, we need to go through, and you can't combine everything together. We're going to have essentially 2 separate tables here. So I'm going to start off with Team A. So we got Team A. I'm going to use red pen for this one. We need to put them in order from smallest to greatest. So I've got 6. That one's good. Then I've got an 8. And then I've got a 10. And then I've got a 13. Then 18. Then 27. 31. And 35. Okay, the nice thing is they told us they were for 8 games. So we already know how many total number we have to get together. So let's start off with the median. Okay, I'm going to use that kind of little shortcut that you guys had help figure out on your own. There's 8 games. That means I can go to the 4th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So it should be in between this one and this one is going to be my median. Somebody talk me through, how do I find the median of those 2 scores? Add them, then divide them by 2. So I got 13 plus 18 divided by 2. My median score, so the middle score will be 15.5. And then to find the mean, what do we do to get the mean, everybody? Add all of them and then divide it by 8. So you should have 6 plus 8 plus 10 plus 13 plus 18 plus 31 plus 35. Austin, what'd you get? I got 18.5 as well. So the mean, the average score that Team A scores every single game, you can expect them to get about 18.5 points per game. All right, Team B. We're going to make them purple. I know how much you guys love talking about your football teams that are purple.
Even though they're trash.
I guess we'll see according to these scores here. So we got Team B. We're going to put them in order from smallest to greatest. Team B, they start off with 8. And then 14. And then 18. And then 26. Oh, sorry, 25. 26. 29. 31. And then 42. 31 was there. 42. I've got everything covered. I'm happy. Okay, somebody new that hasn't talked yet. How do I find the median for all those numbers? Nope. Okay, that's going to give me my mean, but I'll do that one. So we're going to add them all together, and we're going to divide that one by 8. So we've got 8 plus 14 plus 18 plus 25 plus 26 plus 29 plus 31 plus 42. Divide all those by 8. So my mean, my average for this team, I can expect them to get 24.1 points per game. That's the number you guys got? Okay. All right. To find the median, that middle number. Luis? How'd you get 25 and 26? I agree. Did you count from both sides? Okay, so you started on the outsides and you worked your way in. You saw that this number and this number were going to be your median. So the middle of it. So Luis had 25 and 26 together, and then divided by 2. Your median should have been 25.5. So looking at Team A and Team B, we're just going to say if they're going to play each other. Which team do you expect is going to have more points? Team B is going to have more points. Why? Because they average, their mean is a bigger number than this one. When you look at those last 8 games, they're going to average 18.5 points per game. Team B is going to average 24.1 points per game. Okay, that's where these numbers are going to start coming into play. The more data we have, the more information we can get from statistics. Okay? Questions on that one? All right. Today, you will have, let me get there, it was on this page. Right over here. Your homework for tonight is going to be page 437. I want you to do numbers 6, 7, and then 8. I'm only giving you 3, but I do want you to go through each of those. You're going to find the mean, median, and the mode. And I also, for those ones, I want you to find the nearest whole number. It's in the directions, but I just want to make sure I reiterate it. The nearest whole number. You got 3 total problems. You got time to work on it. Make it happen.